Welcome, Spurs fans, to the post-All-Star break edition of Casa De Spurs. I'm Trace, joined by Steven Fiesta Hale over there. Look at that jersey.
Right, man.
Big body.
Big body came in. Big body for a big body, you know?
It's looking great. I love it. I got mine in the mail as well. I'm super pumped about it. Can't wait to, I don't know, maybe wear it to an actual Spurs game one day. We'll see.
And just to be clear, there was no jersey involved.
No jersey.
You got an actual jersey.
It's an actual jersey. I'll wear it next time on the show.
Okay. Very good.
I got I don't know if you got this email as well. I got a pre-sale invitation to purchase tickets to Spurs home games for the second half of the season. And knowing I wasn't going to do it, I immediately opened up the link and started looking at everything anyways. And then I just got really sad because I was like, I can't
what are we gonna do?
I can't make a trip. I can't make a trip to San Antonio right now. So what am I even doing here? But if you do go to a game,
fun to pretend.
Hope you have fun. Hope you wear your Spurs Fiesta jersey. Otherwise,
yeah.
What are you doing?
I saw today on the first night back, I think they're giving two shirts for every person that goes in attendance. Like it's double shirt night or whatever. Ooh. And the idea is like you give the shirt to somebody else. You know, we're all family, right?
Okay.
I was like, I would like to know who these people are that are really going to go give away that second shirt.
Oh yeah, we get both of those. I mean, well, no one else in my household would wear it, so maybe I'll probably just wear it.
I'm keeping them both.
We'll keep them both. Well, hopefully when the Spurs do play their next game in front of fans, it goes a little bit better than the last game they played in front of fans. Even the Spurs, I think we talked right after the Spurs lost to Oklahoma City last time, and we were like, okay, not that big a deal. The Spurs were down everybody, and they lost on a last second corner three. Then they turn around and they beat the Pelicans, and you're like, okay, cool, like they can still play a little bit. Then they lose this overtime game to Brooklyn. That was a bummer. Probably should have. I think they should have won that one in overtime. I think they should have won that one in regulation. I don't think they should have gone to overtime. Crazy that it did, but really bad calls down the stretch in that Brooklyn game. I think a better team might have responded better than San Antonio, but they're not the kind of team that so far has really been able to get out of their own heads on bad calls.
Yeah, they seem to they're a young team, and without going into any kind of absurd details, but their leader, DeMar DeRozan, is a pretty emotional guy. And I think everybody feels like right around every 6 or 7 games, I feel like DeMar's due for a little tantrum of sorts, like something. And so, it's kind of collectively coming to a head with that. And they're too young to get a lot of calls. Sean Elliott, I can't remember if it was in the Nets game or if it was in the Thunder game, but he was talking about, I think it was Luka, the ever polarizing Luka Šamanić going to the basket, and he clearly got fouled, and Sean was like, he'll get that call in a few years. He'll get that call in a few years.
Yeah.
And I was like, I hate that. I hate that. It's a foul, call the foul. That's what it is. But Sean's right. So yeah, they're young. They're gonna get a little rattled about stuff like that.
Yeah, and I hate the hand wring over these losses, but losing 2 in a row to OKC is both those games they had a double-digit lead, and fairly late in the game as well, and I don't have good words to put into place about how it happened, other than they just looked. Greg Popovich would probably use the word lackadaisical several times in a couple sentences, and if he had to describe what happened in that, at least in the March 4th game against Oklahoma City, I thought they had it in the bag. Oof.
Yeah, they played amazing in the first half, and then I don't know what happened.
Yeah,
it was a circus. They just fell apart. The bottom of everything fell out in the second half. They looked like they forgot how to play basketball. Like it was.
Yeah.
It was kind of bizarre watching it. It was like, they'll be all right. They'll be fine. And I was like, oh, this looks like last year's Spurs team a little bit. Like that's what I was getting vibes of. So, I mean, they're little Mr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde at times. I feel like they're still playing to their level of competition. Like, how is it that they can hang with the Brooklyn Nets on one night and then the next the next night they can blow a lead to the Oklahoma City Thunder. And on top of that, like they are still little handicapped by the injury bug / COVID bug / et ceteras that goes into that. So they still don't have like a fully completed roster. And they're still trying to put some pieces together from guys that are like Keita Bates-Diop is getting significant minutes right now. And
I
like,
you know, I kind of owe him an apology. Well,
do you want to go ahead and do that?
I apologize, Keita Bates-Diop. I don't. You're probably not following me on Twitter, but there was a game a couple weeks ago where you were in there. I think it was the first game back after COVID. Actually, it was that first Oklahoma City game. I don't remember what you did, but I remember seeing you run up and down the court after like something bad happened to San Antonio, and I couldn't see the name. All I could see was the number 31, and I was like, I don't know who number 31 is, but I hope I never find out. That was mean. That was mean of me. And the dude had some pretty sweet moves in these last few games. I saw he made a really impressive like tiptoe along the baseline, get up and under, and in layup. I feel like he had a lot of effort on the defense that you wouldn't see if LaMarcus Aldridge had been playing. So I don't know. I mean, like he's a two-way player. He probably will remain a two-way player for the remainder of this. Well, I guess.
And by two-way, we mean like actual two-way, not.
I mean, G League. I meant G League NBA two-way player. He's on a two-way contract, I guess.
Two-way contract. Okay, I got you.
But he's a two-way player, both two ways.
I like that.
But he's also the G League one is probably a little more applicable where he should be playing. I know that season's over, but I don't expect to see a lot of him once this team's fully rostered and healthy.
Right. I would also like to say that Gregory showed some interesting decisions along the way. Now you're playing on a back-to-back, so I get that. Like things are going to be different. You're gonna protect some minutes from certain guys, but we haven't seen much of Drew Eubanks, and we've seen a lot of Keita Bates-Diop. Like we've gotten to see some Luka minutes. That's good.
And not much Vassell.
And not much Vassell. I mean, he's out. Sorry. Yeah, he had the Rona, so that makes sense. But we've also seen a lot of Trey Lyles, like a lot of Trey Lyles. And I don't know where we're at with Trey Lyles. Last year, Trey Lyles was a starter. I think he's on like a pretty air quotes starter. He's on a pretty like relaxed deal. Like it's not like he's busting the cap or anything like that. My guy had 27 minutes against the Thunder the other night, and he had a double-double, 15 and 10. He's got no problem shooting the ball. He clearly wants minutes. He's clearly trying to carve out a role, and I have no idea what they're going to do with Aldridge. We can talk about some of these shenanigans trades that have come across the Twitter wires over the last few days. But I'm starting to get a very like strong opinion that LaMarcus Aldridge is probably not going to play much basketball left for the Spurs. He's either going to be traded, which is probably unlikely, bought out, which is probably more likely, or at a minimum, he's going to continue to have this silly little stomach bug. And depending on what they do to replace him, like does Trey Lyles get those minutes? Like, does Trey Lyles and Drew Eubanks get those minutes? And does Trey Lyles, Drew Eubanks, and Keita Bates-Diop get those minutes? Like, what's actually going to happen? Because who's the other center on this roster after Aldridge? It's Eubanks, right? And
Jakob, but
Jakob, who's his backup? It's Eubanks / Lyles.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
right. Rudy Gay sometimes plays the 5.
Sometimes, yeah. So they're just weird week. Like that's the best I can take away from it. Didn't play great. What was? I guess we all wanted them to beat the Nets probably more than the Thunder, but losing to the Thunder twice hurt more. Which game should they have won more? I guess.
They should have won both Oklahoma City games. Let's be real. Like, not, this is in my magic land here. You flip around both those OKC games. The Spurs are 4-1 in their last 5 instead of 2-3. Even if you just flip the one Brooklyn game, like at least they had a winning record over last week. They're like, don't look now, man, but the Dallas Mavericks are a game behind the Spurs. I don't know if you've noticed this, but they caught up quick. They were fairly well behind, and it was really just this last week that did the Spurs in. And some of this has to do with the fact that the Spurs only played like 9 games in February. They should have had at least 4 more. Maybe they would have
frustrating
won.
Part.
Yeah, they looked like they were about ready to go on a roll, and then the carpet got taken out from under them, and they went on the wrong kind of roll. I don't know. They rolled down the stairs. They rolled out of the house.
Yeah, they rolled it backwards. That's the thing about this team, T-Dog. They are one player away from being like they're one like strong roster tweak away from not being like title contenders, but being like, hey, these guys could go deep into the playoffs. They could get into the Western Conference Finals. Maybe they make an upset somewhere if things break right. They're one piece away from that direction. They're also like one bad night away, one bad week away, one COVID-19 protocol, health and safety protocol away from being right back out of the playoff picture. Like they are, all due respect to the players that are playing hard, but this team they're right in the middle of being a very like average, mediocre basketball team right now. They've got a lot of talent on their team, but you don't know what you're going to get from that talent. And that's pretty much been everybody from Keldon Johnson all the way on down. Like DeMar DeRozan's had some stinkers. Like I think the most consistent player this year has ironically been DeJounte Murray, which I don't know that anybody saw that coming.
Yeah. Captain consistency now.
Yeah, but like poor Derek White can't get on the court. Like this guy's missed games with a toe, and then he's back, and then he's got a toe again, and then he's in health and safety protocols. Like I really want to look forward to Derek White things, but I don't know when that's going to happen. I just never feel like I don't want to say that the guy's injury prone, but we're worried about that. Keldon has been very hot and cold. Lonnie Walker, they're trying to turn this guy into a jump shooter right now. And usually whenever he attacks the rim and he's like attacking the rim, he's great. But sometimes he doesn't attack the rim, and you and I scratch our heads. This team has got to make a decision very quickly.
Yeah.
Especially as we're coming into like the trade deadline. But what are they going to be? Are they going to be a lottery team, or are they going to try and be a Western Conference final contender? And let's see what happens. But I don't know that where they're at right now. They're better than they were last year. They've got a little more direction than they did last year, but there's still a lot of questions that are unanswered.
Yeah, well, one question that's come up recently is the availability of Nikola Vucevic.
Yeah. How do you feel about him?
The Spurs.
Before we talk about the deal, how do you feel about him?
To be honest with you, I have not closely followed the career of Nikola Vucevic.
He's an all-star.
Vucevic. I mean, he is an all-star. So I'm looking at his season. Pulled it up because I felt like I should know a little bit about it. I mean, all right, averaging just under 25 points a game, averaging just under 12 boards a game.
I think the Magic are averaging like 40 points a game. So
yeah, he's shooting 41% from 3. That's kind of interesting for someone who plays center. I mean, he would be, from what I've seen of him and what I can tell, he would be an instant upgrade over anyone who's currently been playing center for San Antonio. All due respect to Jakob Poeltl. This looks like a guy like Vucevic would. Here's the thing that I don't know how it works out with San Antonio is, do we need a big man shooting I don't like
Yeah.
we don't need Jakob to shoot. That's the beauty of his fit with the first unit is,
Does not need the ball.
you know, leave that to DeMar, leave that to DeJounte or Keldon, or, you know, insert fifth starter here. Like those, you know,
Yep.
he knows he's the fifth option.
Yep.
And it's fine because
He's okay with it.
Yeah, he's a great screener. He moves well away from the ball. He'll get you a nice layup every once in a while if you can keep your eyes open long enough to watch it happen. It's just, you know, it's just his game. Vucevic, okay, so now you have a 5 who you have to put some respect on when he's actually standing out, you know, around the 3-point line. Does that open up the game for the other? Does that allow Lonnie Walker to be more of a slasher than a jump shot?
Yeah.
Does it allow DeMar to get more into his game? I don't know how. I mean, my general opinion around like making a trade or like making a basketball or like picking up a player is, if this player is talented, you should sign them and then figure out how to make it work. I mean, like that's like what they're doing in Brooklyn. They've got
the asset.
Yeah, they've got Durant, they've got Harden, they've got Kyrie. They're trying to get Blake Griffin, whatever he has.
Got him.
They got him
Today.
Oh, they did get him. Okay, so Lucky. Like I don't know what Blake Griffin's got in the tank left offensively, but like that right there is 4 guys that 5 years ago you would have been like, how do we feed these mouths? I think you still have that question of how do you feed these mouths? They'll figure it out because, you know, they're basketball players and they're coaches and they get paid to do that. So if you're telling me that like, yeah, it falls apart very quickly when I move into the part of the deal, because if you're telling me that the Orlando Magic are ready to move on for Vucevic and, you know, LaMarcus Aldridge is the key like player in the deal, I don't believe that. But I would do it. Absolutely.
Right. So I think it's all relative. And I think this isn't specific to Vooch. I think it's relative to whatever player you're looking for. Like in a vacuum, if your centerpiece is around LaMarcus Aldridge and a first and another expiring, like, yeah, you acquire the asset. But are you gutting part of your core to get a guy like Vucevic? Like, because you have to think of it like this. There's no way they're going to take a guy who's an all-star and be like, yeah, come on over here and play behind Jakob Poeltl. Like, that's not going to happen. Like, the guy's going into the starting unit. What does that do to your defense? Because sometimes, like, Jakob's the only guy that plays defense. I mean, not always, but depending on who's in the lineup at that time, like, that's a shot to your rim protection. And I think that Vucevic is – I think that he would be fine. You know, he's not going to be like a net minus. But he's also not going to be Jakob Poeltl at the rim and gobbling up every rebound and blocking every shot. Like, that's literally what Jakob's out there for. Yeah. So can they play next to each other? Like, yeah, they probably can. And I'm kind of the mindset of going very much like you. Acquire the asset. Figure out what to do with it later. Like, it's very hard to get assets in the NBA. I had this constant argument with people all the time on Twitter. Is like, well, I don't know that guy's a good fit with the team. I'm like, who cares if he's a good fit? Do you realize how hard it is to get a guy? Like, to just get a guy? Like, you either have to be lucky and draft them, which that doesn't happen very often. Like, it just doesn't. And it doesn't matter if you're picking 1 or 41. Like, it's hard to get good talent in the draft. You get lucky sometimes, but it's hard. 2 is, even if you get that guy, you got to keep him. And San Antonio knows better than anybody else. We had an MVP candidate that came right through our door. And he was like, bye. And we can sit there and be like, he wanted to go home and his uncle. It doesn't matter. It's still hard to keep a guy. Like, what if DeJounte Murray has a cousin and he's like, I want to go back to the, you know, Seattle, your city. They bring the Sonics back. And then DeJounte's like, I want to go play for this. Like, what are we going to do? Like, knock on wood. That didn't happen. But it's hard to keep talent. And the other way is free agency, like, and the Spurs are just not a free agent destination. So I always have this mindset of, when a star becomes available, whether that's I'm disgruntled Jimmy Butler in Minnesota and Karl Anthony Towns is a bum and I don't want to play with him, so get me out of here. Or if it's, hey, the Magic might be rebuilding and their entire team is a dumpster fire and hey, maybe it's time for us to let our only good basketball player on the roster go. Like, I feel like you kind of have to pounce on that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You got to go out and get it. And within reason, I don't think the Spurs should be throwing away, like, I think I saw was the Magic's asking price was like, they basically want DeJounte Murray and Derek White and a couple firsts. I think Sam Amco or somebody else had said that. I'm not paying that for Vucevic.
Sure.
But that also very well might be Orlando's asking price. Like, if we're sitting here hovering around LaMarcus Aldridge, Lonnie Walker, and a first round draft pick for Vucevic, this guy's an all-star. He's under contract for the next 3 years. Like, I think you have to consider that. I think you have to have that conversation. I think that's a lot closer than going, we're giving you our entire backcourt, our starting backcourt for this guy. But you've got 5 guys that essentially play the wing position. If you can attach one of those to an expiring contract in LaMarcus Aldridge and you can get back an all-star, like, who cares if he's not the perfect fit next to Jakob? Yeah. You figure that out down the road.
Right. Or you move Jakob. I mean, like, I think Jakob Poeltl is perfectly movable if the Spurs, I love him, but like, he's a perfectly movable asset if you need to do that for some reason, because Jakob has played with a lot of time in the second unit, and he could do it again. I mean, would it be awful to have both Jakob Poeltl and Nikola Vucevic on the same team? No. It might be weird at first, but no, it wouldn't be awful. And I'm totally with you on, like, not like, here's the thing, this, like you said, like, the Spurs are like a piece away from actually being a really good team.
Yeah.
But if you give up 2 of the pieces that like make
you current,
then you're just taking at best a step neutrally. Like,
that's just a step to the side.
Yeah. We're going to be bigger. And now we don't have, I mean, like, unless Trey Jones in the last couple of weeks has made any sort of movement on completely taking over for DeJounte Murray, I don't think he has. Then I think unless him and Quindary Weatherspoon are ready to rock the 1-2.
Well, I mean, think of it this way too. Like, last year, there was a lot of times where I know Trey Lyles started a lot, but like, Jakob and Aldridge played next to each other, and
we wanted to tear our hair out. Like, is Vucevic and Jakob, like, I think that's an upgrade. Like, I think Vucevic is better than Aldridge. Like, that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's all relative. You can't just nix it and be like, oh, the Magic won. Well, of course, if the Magic won our entire starting backcourt and a couple first, like, you're not selling your future for Vucevic. But if you're sitting here going, okay, I can give you a piece of our future, and whether that piece is, don't everybody come for me, but whether that piece is Lonnie Walker, or whether it's Keldon Johnson, or whether it's Luka Šamanić, or a future first round draft pick, I think a lot of times we fall in love with these players as people because they're cool dudes, and we like them, and we throw around this word like family a lot about the organization. It's like, it's a basketball team. Like, they're all tradable. Like, unless you've got Giannis on your team right now, like, short of maybe a couple other dudes in the league, like, the entire roster should be tradable if that's an option. And I think if you have an opportunity to get a guy, maybe Vooch isn't that guy. Sure.
Like, I personally think Bradley Beal's that guy. I would sell the farm for Bradley Beal, but maybe you don't do that for Vooch. But you got to be kind of ready to pull some form of a trigger.
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on who you're pulling in, right? Because, like, DeJounte Murray is untouchable, I think, in any scenario where you're trading for a big man, because you kind of nullify bringing in a big man if you get rid of your. Yeah. He's your franchise point guard at this point.
Yeah.
There he is. How about that?
Yep.
Bradley Beal. Okay, maybe you can move on from DeJounte. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's. Probably. But as far as I know, Bradley Beal is not available, so I'm not going to speculate on that too much.
No, sure.
As far as Vucevic goes, here's something that maybe is realistic. I mean, like, do you get, like, the Spurs, you say, we're not trading DeJounte Murray.
Yeah.
But we'll give you Derek White, Lonnie Walker, LaMarcus Aldridge, and a first.
Yeah.
Like, can you get rid of half of DeJounte and Derek? I mean, like you said yourself, at this point, you gotta question his ability to stay healthy a little bit. I mean, I don't know if I'm fully there with you, but he's not had the best season. Health wise, he's looked fine when he's been on the court, but he just hasn't been there very often. You're kind of trading a mystery at this point, and if you're San Antonio, you're like, oh, maybe this is the time to get rid of him.
I'd feel a lot better if you at least had another piece of a potential coming back with something like that. Like I feel like with a guy like Vooch, he's like a fringe all-star. So he's not like,
he's also 30, by the way.
He's also 30, right? So you're not like, it's dumb to give up 2 prospects and picks and an expiring contract. Like Bobby Marks has a great point out of all this. When you're trying to get like players, like you're looking for 4 things in a trade. You're looking for expiring prospects, future picks, and then the actual best player in the trade. Like that's how you judge that. And most trades get 2 of those things. Good trades, like great trades, get like 3. If you ever get 4 of those things in a trade, like you get the GM of the year, right?
Yeah.
And so I look at this and I'm like, what are you realistically getting for Vooch? Are you going to get all 3 of those things? An expiring, a prospect, and a future pick? Like probably not for Vooch. Like maybe for like a Bradley Beal, maybe for like if Karl Anthony Towns comes available, like you're gonna hear me saying on Twitter, Spurs need to give up like 4 of their 5 young players and picks and an expiring contract, because it's hard to get talent like that. Like that's a rare talent. So in this situation, like what you're saying, like if they're like Lonnie Walker or Derek White, I'm sitting here going, I really don't want to give up 2 of those guys. So can we talk about Markelle Fultz? Can we talk about Jonathan Isaac, who I know just had another ACL tear? Can we talk about maybe knocking that 1st round pick to a 2nd round pick, or maybe you send a pick back with us, or like it's not as cut and dry of that. And so again, like a market has to be set. Like what if there's no bidding? Like if there's not another team that really wants him, and I've heard some rumors that like Charlotte has interest and Boston has interest, but they don't have a ton of assets. Like Boston has a trade exception, but unless they're going to really start, like is Marcus Smart and a pick and a trade exception, is that going to do it for Orlando? Like, or would you rather have LaMarcus Aldridge and Lonnie Walker? Like, I don't know. I just feel like it's all relative. So I would want to see that. But I do think, Trace, I just think the Spurs are dangerous because they have their picks, they have young prospects, and they have expiring contracts. Like they're literally the type of team that you would want to trade with, because you're going to get all that stuff back. So I don't know, man. I'm interested to see how it plays out, and I'm interested to see like what Brian Wright does. We always joke about RC Buford, but now's the time. Greg Popovich is not getting any younger. Like they got to do something, and I think they should do it now. Like I really think this is the year. Like they need to make something happen.
Yeah, I'm not holding my breath. I am really curious. You reported the asking price for Vucevic. I wonder if that is a little bit of a smokescreen. Look, everything's negotiable, right? I mean, like,
right.
You can offer the Magic whatever you want to offer them.
Sure.
They can either answer the phone or not answer the phone. And you don't want to look like an idiot if you're the one offering if you're trying to blackball the Magic into trading their starting all-star center. But doesn't hurt to ask. I'm curious to see what comes out of that. With a few minutes left, we've got we actually have some more games coming up again. That'll be fun. Really, actually, the most critical one, I think, is this. Well, actually, man, they play Orlando this week. How about that? That's fun.
See, might be a preview.
Yeah, on the 10th, we got at Dallas, which I think how this works is the winner will be in first place of the Southwest Division, and the loser will be in second place of the Southwest Division.
That's how that looks.
And possibly, at that time, out of the playoff picture if you lose that game. So they looked pretty good, those Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah, they have a good basketball player on their team. It always helps when you have an MVP candidate, regardless of what the rest of your roster looks like around you. Um, but I wanted to show you the teams that are behind San Antonio.
Okay.
The Mavericks,
Mm-hmm.
the Warriors,
Mm-hmm.
Memphis,
Yep.
the Pelicans, and the Thunder, who have beat the Spurs twice. So like, yeah, we've boasted a lot about, we like to say, how is it that the team with the 8th best record in the NBA doesn't have an all-star? Because of this reason right here. Yeah, because they are probably like a week away from being like the 10th seed or something like that in the West.
Yeah.
So the Dallas game will be a big game. I'd like to see where that goes. I think they played them early, didn't they? Because I feel like I distinctly remember Keldon eating Luka Doncic's lunch or something like that. Like,
yeah,
I'm
the Spurs have played Dallas once. They got beat pretty badly. It wasn't a pretty game. There were some fun plays, like they told them play, but there.
I think they threw DeMar and LaMarcus Aldridge and screen and rolls all night with Luka and KP, and that didn't go well.
Yeah, it remains to be seen if I have no idea. I haven't seen any news on like who's available and who's not available for the Spurs going into this. I imagine we'll find out some more tomorrow because it'll be the 9th.
Well, I believe I think in the last game, all 3 of those guys were with the team. I say all 3 of those guys: White, Rudy Gay, and Devin Vassell. They were all with the team in the last game. Like, I think they were on the bench actually. So I hope that those guys all come back. LaMarcus Aldridge has a tummy ache, and he's probably on the trade block one way or the other. So who cares?
Sure.
But yeah, I'm hoping that we get everybody back because now's the time, man. It's a brutal second half too.
Absolutely.
What's the back? I think there's like seven backs to backs, maybe more than that.
I think including the I can't remember. I think there's 11 back to backs. I can't remember if that was including. I can't remember if that was including the Brooklyn Knicks back to back that they played last week. But let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, they have 10 more back to backs. And no more than one day off between games at any point for the rest of the season. Yeah. So,
I mean, it's great for the fans, but ugh.
Is it great for the fans if we have to watch a terrible basketball?
I don't know. But that's the thing. Like right now is all right. If this is going to be your roster, then you're going to bank on health.
Yeah.
You're going to bank on team chemistry, and you're going to bank on a lot of young players making significant leaps in the twilight years of Greg Popovich. Like, are we sure that that's like doable? Like, I don't know. They haven't clinched a playoff spot yet. So
no.
Those are 3 big things that could fluctuate as Greg starts to mount his horse to ride off into the sunset.
Right. Yeah. Well, just about out of time, but Steven, Spurs they're 18-14 going. They are above 500 going into the All-Star break. I think more than any of us would have expected going into this year. Still have a decent shot to win this division and make the playoffs. 2 weeks to see if they make a trade, see if it's imminent or not. But I am, yeah. Listen, I've said it. I think several times. I think this team is probably a 6 seed kind of playoff team. If things go right, I think they're 5 or 6 as their ceiling for the season, which would not be the worst thing in the world to see. And they might be able to upset like a Nuggets team in the playoffs if that's what it turns out to be.
I don't think they're upsetting the Lakers, but
no,
they could upset the Nuggets.
Yeah,
they could upset the Trailblazers.
Upset the Trailblazers.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're in that range. They're in the bottom seed with an upset in the first round, and then after that, it should be
cut and dry. Second round if they get there. Injuries happen. We'll see, right?
Yeah. Fingers crossed.
All right. Well, we'll see where they are this time next week. Maybe we'll have a new fresh face on the roster. I don't know. Maybe that'll be something fun to talk about. But we'll see how it goes. Until then, enjoy the second half of the season, and go Spurs go.
Go Spurs go.